What is up, Last War family? Want to first of all thank He Who Greets with Fire for posting his team, so we can show him some good things to start upgrading on his team. I will continue to do these for you guys. Anytime you guys post them on here, I will do my best to make them within a week of posting. But I want to show you guys some of the big things that first and foremost I want to show you guys and help you guys to do for your upgrading. So first of all, when we look at his team, it looks like he is in server 934, so they're fairly new, and that's good. What you've got available to you right now, and this is one thing I would tell you immediately off the cuff, is if you are fiscally able to do it, if you're able to purchase and do so, I would go ahead and start pivoting away from your tank team and towards your air team in this early of a server, where you're at right now. We're in 382, so this would appear that you're at a fairly early on your server. Air, 80% of people that you're fighting against are going to have the tank squads, and air is going to beat tank up to 4 million higher than it. Missile beats air up to 4 million higher than it too, but tank beats missile. So if you go ahead and start upgrading your missile right now, you're going to be losing a lot to tank. That is something once you get bigger on the air and you're beating all the 80%, that you may start pivoting towards the missile to beat the people who are higher up. But first and foremost, I would start looking at shifting to air if you're going to spend. The next thing I always talk to people about is don't spread, and it's one thing I wish I would have done a better job of, don't spread your universal shards. Pick an S1. So in your case, I would shift away from, even though you've almost got them there, I would start to shift away from tank and start shifting to shifting to air. And once you've got to air, and you've got once you're shifted to that, keep your universal gold shards only on that air team. Same thing for the skill medals. One big thing that a couple people like King Darius from my server taught me that I should, I wish I would have known earlier on, is don't mix those medals across multiple avenues. You want to use those on your S1 only. Upgrade that S1 first, max it out as much as you can, then start shifting some of the freer universal stuff too, and the stuff that's hard to get like metals. Start shifting those over towards your S2 once you've got those maximized. All right, so right now you're at what I would consider a pretty very good 13.8. I like that a lot. At where I assume you're at as far as your server goes. When you're looking at these battles like what you've got right here, don't hate what you got going on as far as on your. We see that you've mixed in DVA, and that works really well at the beginning of your process here. But once you get to season 1, they really start to nerf mixed squads. You're really going to start to see it where you're going to have to pivot to one or the other for sure. I would start that earlier. So I like what you're doing there for sure. Biggest advice I have here, it goes very similar to the other advice. If you've got gold on your other heroes at all, or if you've contemplated going, hey, I want to start upgrading and putting some gold weapons or some gold gear on the other heroes, don't. Maximize these. Get all these up to 40, and then start getting them up, to when you can, get them up as fast as you can to getting dots on them up to as far as 5 dot, 4, definitely up to 4 dot when you can. But you don't have to gear up all squads. Your S1 is going to be, your S1 being as powerful as possible is going to be such a huge deal for you. All right, so back to here. And it looks like you've done a very good job so far and awesome work of really focusing in on skills on just your S1. I like this a lot. Again, though, if I'm you, I'm pivoting away from tank. If you decide not to pivot away from tank, that's okay too. That is your call. I'm fine with that. It's your team overall. That's what I would do with what you've got. But if you're going to pivot away from tank, you cannot use skill medals, in my opinion, or universal gold shards on anything else like DVA or anybody else in air. Pivot away from that. Only use her shards. Use the rest on here. All right, so another thing you're doing a great job of right now that I can see is you're ahead of the game. It looks like on your drone. Love what you got going on here. Another thing that I wish I would have learned early in the game, and you may already know this, and I'm going to go to my team to show you this real quickly. One thing I skipped over a lot early on was getting these free drone chests. I was like, those don't matter as much. Probably the biggest upgrade that you can have on the game that you get for free is getting those freebies as much as you possibly can. There's King Darius right there sending me a message. Those drone components, massive upgrades, and it takes forever. You guys can go back and look at my video about those, but those take forever. You got to have, it's either 2 or 3 of each to get to the next level. I think it's 2. I can't remember now. It's been too long. But they give just a massive jump. If you go look right here, you can see that that's 1 million on it at level 9. And it doesn't tell you what the next level is going to be, but they did make a massive difference. So based on what you've got going on, I'm really loving, really going to advise that you just make sure you're always getting the free ones of those. If you do spend it all, the $5 packs of those are not bad. Not a bad idea to get where you get the level 3s. Let's go and look here next. All right. Liking what you're doing here. If you haven't yet, make sure you watch my Special Forces video about the T10s. Make sure you're focused on just the T10 path, that you don't try to upgrade all of that. The faster you get to the T10 path, the better off you're going to be. Your decor is good. I like your decor. I do think that it costs money, so it's not fun, but your decor, if you can buy it when there's specialty decors, like that other video I made about the Jacko, it wasn't Jack-o'-lantern, it was Jacko skeleton, I think, or something like that. Decor, it made a big difference. All right, now let's go and look here next. So again, if you're going to stay on tank, I love what you're doing here. As you start to get stuff to your wall, and this is something I learned too late in the game, I wish I've learned it faster. But as you get to your wall, you look right here at this green arrow. It upgrades the hero along the way too. I thought it was just upgrading the overall missile hero HP. So like I pivoted initially away from, like when I was going with trying to bump Tesla up, I was pivoting away from him because I was like, I don't want missile hero defense. I want attack. And same thing for my air. I was going attack. I want to just attack. But I forgot that, he's my best of the missile. I want him to be as high as possible. So I went back once I realized that it was upgrading him too. I had seen it at first and just kind of forgot. It's not just this. This is the bigger piece of it that it does for all heroes. It's like the bonus. But focus those universal gold shards as you get up and you've maximized everybody. You want to get those on the just on your top squad. Now that's a down the road. I will say that as of this point, once you get everybody to 5 stars on your air, then yeah, pivot back to tank or go on to missile. At that point, you want to max a rate of 5 stars before you move to the wall. But once you've gotten to the wall, that's definitely something I would do. Let's see what we got next on it. Beautiful. That is, I'm really impressed by your squad here, man. And thank you for sending all of this information over. Do not fret over these deaths. That was something I overthought about at the beginning when I was doing these little attacks. I was like, oh, why am I dying more than that? When you attack, you die more than you do when you're defending. I don't know why the game does it that way, but that's what's going on. So you can't really save yourself from that per se. All right. And what your question was here, you said this was an arena. I barely beat this dude. Why did he kill so many more of my soldiers and merely injure his? That's what I was just talking about. When you're attacking, you're going to have more deaths. It's just the way the game goes. It doesn't matter in arena. It's how many survive that matters, okay? So what you're doing is working. Now, if you want to look at what he's doing differently than you, better, is he's got the, he's getting a little bit more power out of his Kim. Not sure exactly why. Maybe better gear. Let me go back and look at his gear. No, not better gear. So it just may just be positioning, but let's look at his skills and see if he's maxed her skills where you haven't potentially. He has focused in a little bit more, just barely above where you are on her best skill, her top skill, that attack skill, but not enough to make a difference on it. It just goes to, for what you're looking at here, it's just simply, I think, I'm going to look at your decor and just see if I'm missing something, but it's just, yeah, his tech's a little bit better than yours too. See how his hero is maximized up? That's a real part where it could be. He's done, well, actually for both of these, his unit and hero, that's what it is. His unit and hero tech is way above where you're at right now. And if you go look at both of those techs, there's some massive bumps up in that. Let me go and show it to you real quickly. So if you just go look at here, I mean, it increases your load capacity. So when you're looking at your troop load, when it increases your hero, your HP, your attack, your defense again, these are all the ones that are, in my opinion, just so important to just kind of really just focus in on, even more than development ones. The development ones, I think you can go back in time and bump up, but focusing on those and maxing those out is massive. And then here, my advice for everybody is pick a team. I think we just talked about. For you, I'd go air, max the air, okay? Do this one to whatever level is required to get to the next levels in your tank, then pivot to air. Or if you're going to stick with tank, then go max tank, just go to whatever is required for the air to advance, and the missile to advance, and then get back to maximizing that tank. That's going to be a big deal. It's probably what old guy's probably done. When I look at what, I can't see his full stuff, but based on where he's at versus where you're at, that's where I'm seeing some differences there. Let's see here. Quantity, yeah, he's got more units than you as well. You see that right there? And then his morale's higher. So he's got more units to be able to let them die and more units to be able to kill your units. So that's another reason why his kill count's a little bit higher than yours. And when we look at that, it's probably, it's definitely, because I don't see any purchase, it doesn't look like on his, so it's definitely inside of his units where he's got that unit load higher than yours by a significant margin, and then his hero. That's the two spots I'm focusing in on. If I'm you, I'm going to start pivoting to those and working on those, because you're going to see a much better attack there. All right. Perfect. And then this is another thing I always tell everybody, and I know you've heard me say this already, but I'm just going to go into it again. And I see you're early enough in where it looks like he's the next hero up. Do the initial pack, $5. You guys can, I'm not telling everybody, if you don't spend it all on anything and you don't buy fast food ever, you don't do any of that, then don't buy anything on the game. But if you really like the game and you want to play, buy at least that $5 pack to open these guys up so you can use the universals to get them faster when they pop up, because they only pop up one time and then they're gone. And then you can buy like shards of any at some point, but it takes a long time before you get there. So you really want to buy at least at $5, punt McDonald's for that week, take a peanut butter and jelly sandwich instead. McDonald's is $12 for a #1 combo, large size. Same thing at Chick-fil-A. It's $12 now at where I am, and I'm probably around the same where you guys are. You can save, you can still eat a tuna fish sandwich or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and get that $5. And obviously that advice is for more than this. Obviously it helps in a lot of parts of life, but if you really want to open those guys up, though, I would definitely get that $5 and punt the fast food or punt eating out for lunch ever. And then the next thing is just working on just making sure you're not burning skill medals on any of these purple heroes, except for, and this is the caveat, there's 2 places I would go with skill medals on purple heroes, and only these 2 places, okay? The first place is one that's off forgotten. And these are the two heroes that and eventually he does get turned to gold, but these are the two heroes that are in the purple that I would use all universal purple shards on. Mason, because you're going to use Mason in all of your tank attacks on the world map bosses, because you're going to get this skill as high as you can. Boost all tank hero damage versus monsters in battle. So that one's one that you want to focus in on. It helps to get these goals maximized. So if we go over here, and these are probably the biggest rewards in the game when you look at it. So I'm going to go over here and look at it for you guys real quickly. So if you go to these rewards, oops, sorry, did the wrong one. If you do the goals one here, look at that. I mean, talk about, you know, you get to 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, or is that, I'm a dummy. Those are G's, aren't they? Not millions, but you get what I'm saying. Billion, 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion, 5 billion, 8 billion, and that you get all this wonderful stuff by getting to those levels. And I think that's imperative, in my opinion, for helping you get to that T10 path the fastest, which makes just one of the biggest impacts on the game. And that's for every single type of squad. You have that availability. As well, because that's the bear, and then it swaps every. You guys know how that part of it works. But the next one that the only purple heroes that you're going to use skill medals on is going to be on Monica as well. Use your universal purples on Mason and on Monica and nobody else, and upgrade that skill for him, bottom left, and bottom left for her. And you guys will see that I don't have it on this account. I did on my other account that I've since given to someone else. On this account, I spent a little bit more than I probably should have, so I didn't need it as much on it. But my goodness, you are going to resources are so huge on this game. And this skill right here for every single one of these rallies you're running. And let me go and just start a rally so you can see it. Oops. Did it wrong again. I'm missing a dig. That's okay, though. It's going to get to a point where you'll be able to double all of these up, which is massive for what you're trying to get. So only 2 purple heroes for you, bud, that you're going to want to touch are those 2. Punt the rest of them. They do nothing. They're useless. They're just for zombies, and your gold heroes are going to be way better on zombies. Could they change that in the game at some point? Yes, but player versus player is where the game's at. And those purple heroes stink against player versus player. Wonderful job overall with how early it looks like you are in your server, bud. That's my advice at this point, based on where I'm seeing your team. That's the difference in why you barely beat him, as you said. He's got more troops than you do, and he's done that through what we just talked about. He's got more. He's also got more. What else was it? It was troops, and he's worked on his research in those 2 areas that really work on player versus player attacking, and where you haven't worked on those 2 as much, it's going to make a massive difference. Red side's morale is 1.5 times that of blue, inflicting 105% damage instead of 100% damage in battle. That's the difference marker. See that? He's got a 5% boost in damage, and it's because of those 2 things. And then for bigger, expensive boost, go and check out my video on Survivor Monica. She makes a big deal. She's going to Survivor. I said Monica. I said the wrong thing. I'm sorry. Let me go and pull them up. It's been a minute since I've looked at them, so I forget their names. Let me go to my survivors. So I would, if you're going to spend, these are 2 of the best spins as far as the game goes. The number 1 best spin, go watch my video on her, is Survivor Taylor. These boxes daily, phenomenal. It just gives you so many gold shards. She just pays you back so fast. And then for Mark Size, he could have potentially gotten her to like maybe 1 or 2 stars. That Survivor Shirley is going to make a big deal too. Go check out my video on both of those. I hope this was helpful today, and thank you again for being the first person we got this video done with. And I'm going to just give you a shout out again real quickly. We've got He Who Greets with Fire. Thank you again for letting me break down your team, and I hope that this helps you get stronger, faster, bud. And don't hesitate to ask more questions in the future. You guys have a good one. This is RTV Joe from Server 382 signing out.